perfect innocence of all creation. To accept the perfection that is within is the turning away from all concepts of a separate self. To truly want to turn away from what you think you know. To not allow the fear of the unknown to run your life any longer. In the journey of love, the game that is played is the game that says, I must know, I must stay in control to survive. But the lies of the past, that voice of fear, is not the voice of God. It has no connection to God. It has no connection to reality. It is a ruse that has been played on humanity because of humanity's choosing just a single choosing. I wonder what it would be like to be separate and in charge. And in that choice, a separate world is made. A world of differences, a world of lack, a world that seems to constantly affirm fear as the correct response and the correct leader. The fear that has a single purpose: to stay separate, to protect and defend in staying separate, and to suffer for the premise that you separated from God and that deserves punishment. But thank God, none of this is true. The ego's lies cannot hold against the light of truth. But every beloved is given the choice to choose love, to choose and trust the harmony and peace that is the truth of God. Every moment in the journey of remembering is the moment of choice. To let go of what you think you know, what you think you know and what you think is true of the past, which is where all knowing comes from, is to deceive yourself, to choose pain and suffering again and again under the camouflage of at least I'm in control, and settling for scraps, and settling for a world of battle. Love is always calling. Love is always inviting. Love is always completely available with its arms wide open, inviting every beloved to return to the oneness. The blessed journey. The blessed journey of love, if it can be recognized and no longer held as a threat, as an enemy, as something that needs to prove itself to a false identity before it is accepted. But love is called to be accepted in trust, the trust of love, the willingness to follow in the path of all masters, and to release into the hands of God for healing all the ignorance of the self-made identity. The willingness to come home, and the willingness to joyfully accept the journey of love. Every moment offers. Every situation has the potential of serving remembering when it is gratefully surrendered to be used by love. Every moment is the moment of inviting the power of God to transform. And that you bring the willingness. Without your willingness, love cannot serve. Without your willingness, nothing can be healed. In willingness, every beloved learns humility. In the world of the ego, there is no humility. It's an unknown quantity, an unknown concept. Humility calls and opens the heart, free of conflict, free of thinking that you know. The knowing itself is the arrogance of the ego, disguised as a need to protect and defend. All pain and suffering comes from the belief that there is a need to protect and defend. A self-attack. Hidden in the camouflage of attacking others with judgment and assessments and opinions. But love keeps calling. Love keeps inviting. And love keeps waiting patiently, always patiently, for the willingness to find its way into your choice, moment by moment, the call to love, moment by moment, every situation, every relationship, every circumstance, the opportunity to remember love, for the habitual knowing of defense, run by fear, and run by self-hatred. Come home to love. Come home to harmony. Every master calls. Every master is swimming in the beauty and perfection of love's waters. Every master beckons. Come in. Come in. Come in and sink into the water of love. Sink into the ocean of love's grace and beauty and harmony. Follow and learn and listen and accept and trust. And in that yes of love, breathing in the yes as the exhale says, I surrender all thoughts. I surrender all perception of knowing. I surrender the past. And I willingly begin again. And I willingly forgive all mistaken identities I have made. I willingly accept and forgive all circumstances that I believed in of the past that said I knew something. I was right. The willingness to embrace I was mistaken. I follow the light of God and say yes, show me the way. Show me the divine way of love. Willingly, I say yes. I choose because I must choose. I must choose or remain in the imprisonment I have made. I choose to follow. I choose to trust. I choose to rest in God and allow the truth to lead. Love is calling. And breathing fully and deeply in that choice. Surrendering into the divine devotion of love. The devotion of love that is a place of happiness, a place of gratitude, and a place of humility. Happy that only love is real. Grateful that there is a way home. Willing to follow. And breathing deeply, the willingness to surrender the heart. Willing for the heart to be opened by love's hand, by love's grace, the willingness to offer love to all in every moment. And breathing and allowing the willingness to surrender the mind, surrendering the mind back to God, and accepting with that divine humility, take this mind, let it be filled with only the truth of love and the truth of light. And let all of my senses be transformed to be used only for love, refusing any longer to use the senses for attack and defense. No willingness to surrender the journey itself. Breathing and allowing. Breathing and following. Following. Thy will be done. Show me the way. If I am called to breathe, let me breathe with joy at being called to breathe. If I am called to walk in the world and bless, let me breathe in the joy of being given the gift of blessings. If I am called to question the thoughts that come, to question them for their validity, gratefully accepting, yes, I will question in my surrender to God. I will follow in my surrender. I will trust. You will show me the way, and I don't know where that journey walks, and I don't know how it will look, but I trust. Because I accept the promise that God's will for all beloveds is peace and harmony and ease. I gladly follow. I choose trust in every moment. If I don't choose trust, I am choosing distrust by default, because that is what is known. That is what is habitual. That is the identity of separation. Distrust, caution, vengeance, and self-attack, and the projection of that attack on others, all willing now to be surrendered and healed in the name of God, in the name of love, yes to healing. And as you continue to breathe by choice, opening to the divine obedience of following, the willingness to accept in this moment that here, in the infinite circle of love, all is one. That is all that truly exists, the infinite circle of love. When something else is being believed in, the truth of the infinite circle of love disappears by choice, never taken away, never hidden, and never absent, always here, all that there is, opening to love. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. Here, in this present moment, there is nothing else that exists. The past and the future, the fantasy worlds of the false self, surrendered, and the willingness to be here. In the life force of God, and within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. in the presence of this moment. This sanctuary is filled with love. Nothing else exists. This universe is all love. Nothing else exists. The willingness to join in that love and return to the true state of awareness. The willingness to disavow the made-up past. The willingness to surrender the future into the hands of God, fully and completely, trusting that as each moment unfolds, it is in perfection and can be used by the Spirit of love, and that the mind knows nothing. The mind has no concept of love. The willingness to avow never to put faith and trust in the made-up identity again. The willingness to deeply accept, I am here to remember what is. I am here to remember and embrace the truth of love and life. I'm here. Saying yes. Show me the way. Allow the prayers of love to ring through your heart, to echo with a divine vibration of love, loosening the heart out of its cage of separation, the willingness to no longer want the heart to be protected and defended, the willingness to accept all the teachings of love in every moment, because every moment there is a teaching of love. Oh, my Father, give me strength, give me courage on this road, to be a child of yours on earth and tread the path the Masters show. Oh, my Mother, help me love, give me comfort to be aware, to obey these sacred teachings. It was your Son who showed the way. Oh, my Master, your compassion can see through this pain, for it was you who came to earth to release us from these chains. Oh, my Father, I'm yours, give me comfort to be aware. Send your angels here to guide me on this sacred path of the sun. Oh, my Father and my Mother, who rule the world of love, send your angels to receive me through the gateway of pure love. To ask for strength is to recognize that without the truth of love, there is only weakness. Without the truth of love, strength is unknown. To open to the strength of the divine is to be led into love, the willingness to ask for that strength to hold the truth, the willingness to refuse to accept any longer what you think you see, what you think you hear, what you think you know, what you think you feel, all of it surrendered into the hands of God. All of it. The recognition. These senses do not serve the truth of God. Unless I surrender these senses and no longer am willing to see the past. The willingness to have the strength to surrender the senses and live with God, in God, as God. Elevate my awareness and elevate my mind into the truth of God's mind. I call to God in the highest vibration of the universe. I call to God to open my heart as I recognize the brilliance of the universe, the willingness to recognize the brilliance within every beloved, the willingness to recognize that there is no purpose in giving anything a separate identity, but to give it all to God and want to see the brilliance of creation. The brilliance of creation, and within the brilliance of creation there is a light. There is a light that shines at all times. It opens my heart and invigorates my mind. It brings me back to reality from a concept of separation. I'm here to sing. It is what I'm called to do. As I sing in the truth of love, I praise all divine beings. In the truth of love, I gratefully accept the direction of all divine beings, seen and unseen, that serve love's remembering and will lead me as I surrender. Elevei o pensamento, Deus nas alturas, para reconhecer o brilho da formosura, o brilho da formosura, e uma luz de alento que limpa meu coração e vigora meu pensamento. Aqui eu vou contando que a minha lida resta, viva Rei Juramidã, e a rainha da floresta. Invigorate my mind, invigorate the truth in my awareness. This is a prayer of love, the wanting of the concept of the mind to be given completely to God and to be invigorated back into the truth of God. To have all beliefs of separation, which include everything from the past, cleansed from the mind, cleansed from the nightmare of the past, the willingness to recognize the brilliance of the universe and the brilliance of every beloved. And in that recognition of that brilliance, the willingness to open the heart and to bow in the service of all beloveds, to bow and allow God to lead in every moment. Every moment. Where would you have me be? And what would you have me do? And how would you have me look on this world? Show me the way. Show me the way. dropping keys. The small man, the fearful man, builds cages for everyone he knows, wanting everyone to be held in the limitation of his knowing. While the sage, in love, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful, rowdy prisoners. It's hard to believe that when you are in the knowing, which seems so legitimate, seems so right, it's what you've always done. It's what you've always known. And when you align yourself with that knowing, all kinds of fantasies are at play. All kinds of fantasies of ideas about what you're going to get and how things are going to look, and that you're finally going to be recognized and respected, and that you're finally maybe going to get your just due in this world. These are the fantasies of the ego that are so alluring. But they're constantly dancing, and they're constantly trading places back and forth with all the suspicions, with all the belief in vengeance, with all the belief in fear that runs all the fantasies. But the ego recognizes how seductive the fantasies of accomplishment are, because they're always just out there. They're always just beyond your reach. They're always around the next corner. And when you think you finally lasso some of these needed accomplishments of winning and being seen as important, when you grab onto a little edge of it, you think, I finally got it. And then it becomes elusive again. And you begin the hunt again. And that is the ego's intention, to keep you hunting for something that is not even true. And that brings nothing. Love does not battle for being seen, and does not battle or strive for respect or even acceptance. Acceptance comes from within. Acceptance is the realization that God has never not accepted you. The truth of love has never turned you away. The truth of love has never banished you for your perceived concepts of wrongdoing. But as you surrender all of these fantasies and these ideas of battle and winning, you stop building cages for everyone. Because while you're in that fantasy, that is really what the fantasy is accomplishing, is to build cages. The small man This is not a derogatory. This is how the beloved sees himself. Tight. Fearful. Cautiously. Suspicious. Living in a small heart with no connection to the heart. But building cages constantly with thoughts and assessments and opinions and condemnations. Not just of others, of the world. Condemnations that eventually are directed at God. The belief that God left you. The belief that you were deserted is what runs and builds the cages. The sage who has to duck his head when the moon is low keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful rowdy prisoners. Because in each cage is a beloved that you believe you know as an identity. In each cage is a concept of the world, of what you think you know. This is never shown by the ego, of course. That would be foolish. It isn't going to raise the curtain so that you can see the truth of what's going on in the assessments and in the concepts of judgments. But everyone that you have given an identity to has a cage around them. Not because it's true, but because you've believed it. You've believed that assessments and judgments and opinions were valid. So why is it that the sage keeps dropping keys everywhere, all night long, to counter all the cages that are being built? Because the sage is aware that in the truth of God, there are no prisoners, and there is no battle, and there is no trouble, and there is nothing to protect and nothing to defend. And if there is nothing to protect and nothing to defend, there is absolutely nothing to know. Nothing. How can self-made knowing of levels and degrees and differences, all cooked in the belief of scarcity, all cooked in the belief of being a temporary body, all cooked in the belief of separation? There's no truth there. No truth. And so all of love is quietly dropping keys all the time to give you the opportunity to choose. Every time you choose, to choose between what you think you know and following the truth of love. One of the bars of your cage thins itself. And you get closer to the keys. It isn't that you couldn't just step out of the cage if you truly wanted to by just saying, I don't believe anything I know. How could it be accurate? How is it possible it even could have any accuracy when it comes from a mind that is separate from God? and comes from a belief of separation, the willingness to remember love. There's a prayer that speaks to the keys of the kingdom that unlocks the cages. We affirm and accept the name of God. We accept our true name is one in God's name. In this truth, we are united with all life, one with creation and Creator. What we made and call by different many names is but a shadow we tried to cast across reality, the reality of one. We are grateful we were mistaken, and we celebrate that it was a lie, and gladly surrender our mistaken differences to be dissolved into the truth of oneness, the calm of the light. The truth of oneness will dissolve all beliefs of separation. One heart, one life, one love, and one source. In this prayer is a place of humility that says, I must accept the truth and refuse the lies that I have counted on in the past, unless I just want the past again and again and again and again, to take into another lifetime and live again. That offering is not a threat. It just is what it is, because every incarnation is only because you believed you were separate. Every incarnation is based on the belief of being something different than the light of God. And every beloved who incarnates says, I will prove I'm right. I will prove it with the life that I live and what I think I know. But in my proving it, I will still be so ignorant that I believe that the proof is coming from the outside. That the proving is coming from others. That I project my fears onto the outside to prove again that I'm right. And that there is no safety and that there is only danger. And that I am bereft of help. But none of that is true. And this is the lifetime. This is the lifetime that has called to you so deeply, that has brought you to such a deep awareness that you can choose. Such a deep awareness that choosing becomes lighted in your everyday life. And that the relationship to choosing between illusion and truth, between hate and love, in every moment, already just by the recognition that you have choice, you're already disassembling the cage. And you're beginning to pick up the keys and say, yes, there is another life. And I want to live that life. I want to embrace that true freedom. I want to accept the peace and the joy and the harmony of eternal life. The prayer of love. As you use all the little names and symbols which delineate the delusional world, do not accept them as your reality. As you walk in the world, you will still use the names and symbols which delineate the delusional world. You will still use them. But in the strength of love and in your willingness, you do not accept them as your reality. You recognize them as even they're being used temporarily, that they are not the truth, and that in the heart of the heart, even while you're using the names of separation, which are every word that is spoken, every idea, every symbol of everything is given a different name and a different level and degree in the belief that everything is separate. Recognize and hold in your heart that there are no differences, that there is no other, and the willingness to walk in the world with God and as God. Every moment, this is the choice. The ego will continue to play games as long as you allow those games to be played. The ego is not the warlord of your mind. You have choice. The ego is not coercing, and you are not a victim of the world that you think you see outside and within. The choice of love is the power of transformation. The exquisite beauty of love is so beyond this world's use of ever using the word love. Ever using the word love. Because love in the world, the word, because it has nothing behind it, is the ruse of trying to get, of trying to win, of trying to conquer something. Be safe in the name of love? Impossible. Because there is no safety that is even really needed. You are intrinsically safe because love has no opposite. But to use the name of love, the word love, and to declare love, when underneath that declaration is fear, is to confuse yourself with an upside down relationship to the truth of love. I must love, but I must love with everything. And love never, never judges. Love never has opinions. Love never thinks it knows how anything should look or what anything means. Love is pure. Love is completely innocent. You are that love. But when you're not aware of that love, you build cages. And that is the journey of love, to stop building cages, to imprison with thought, to imprison with ideas of separation, to surrender the fear and realize that fear itself cannot be healed of itself. Fear is a defense that is used by the belief of separation. Fear is used by the belief that attack is real. Fear is used by the belief that there is scarcity. It's a weapon. It's the rebellion against God that says, no, I don't believe in the truth of love. I don't believe in the perfection of God. I don't believe that there is a source of all life, that where there is no judgment, where there is no opinion, and where there is no retaliation, and where there is no scarcity. The willingness to take that leap into love and to be shown the way. It doesn't matter what you try to make of the word love. It doesn't mean anything. Love is who you are, but forgotten. And to remember love is to surrender all of the ideas of battle, all of the ideas of separate identities, and to surrender the concept of time, and to surrender the belief that you are a body, and that you can suffer, and that you will die, and that you know who you are. There is such a blessing in waking up every morning with the realization, I don't know who I am. I don't know what anything's for in this day. I don't know how to look on this day. But I will follow. I will allow this day to be used by the Spirit of love for healing. The day has no other purpose. It doesn't matter what you write on your calendar of what you think the day is for. You can write anything you want. Dentist appointment, car wash, walk the dogs. None of those things are the purpose of the day. The purpose of the day is to use walking the dogs to serve remembering. The purpose of the car wash is to allow that form to be used to show you the way. The teaching that is available by going to the car wash because that's where you're called to go. Put everything that you think you know about the day, including each perceived function, putting it into the hands of God to be only used for the remembering of love. Then love and the day become harmonious, then love and the day become purposeful. When they're used for your list, they have no real purpose. They have no service. Only when it's surrendered into the hands of the Holy Spirit does it become a day of remembering. Because then each element, each form becomes the schoolroom. It becomes the opportunity to learn. When you think you know what your day is going to be, and you have it written on the calendar, so you're pretty sure you think you know what it is, and how you're going to be with it, and what it's going to look like, and what you're going to accomplish, there is no learning that day. You can check off that day and say, put an X through the calendar, and say, not given to God, kept for the ego and the idea of accomplishment. But each day that is surrendered into the hands of God to be of purpose, to be of learning, that day becomes filled with opportunity to learn of love. The beauty of that surrender is that not only is it a day of learning and a day of beauty, but it becomes more and more in your awareness that there is no good or bad outcome of anything. When you hold what you think you know what the day is supposed to bring and the accomplishments of that day, or you think you know what somebody else is supposed to accomplish that day, there's no love and there's no learning. When you surrender the day into the hands of God to be used for learning, the outcome of every single movement within the day no longer has an opinion wrapped around it of the ego that says, oh wait, I know how this is supposed to go, I know what's supposed to be accomplished, and I know the result that I want. Instead of, what do I want this day? What I want this day is to learn of love. What I want this day is to learn deeper surrender. What I want for this day is to let God lead me and to put all outcomes into the hands of God, and that I will not judge the day as successful or not successful dependent on my thinking and my knowing and my assessment. When the day is in the hands of God and you are learning, you are present to learn, it's filled with grace. It's filled with gifts of remembering and of learning and of blessings. Because when you are trusting that this day is for learning and it's in the hands of God, your whole relationship with the day is now a temple of love. It's now the true purpose of your incarnation. But that's the choice. And it's important to recognize that you have a choice and how essential that choice is to either be building cages of what you think you know, or to be joining the sage as the keys are dropped and the willingness for the cages to be dismantled, and to truly learn in the schoolroom of love what is most helpful. The joy of learning is a gift in and of itself. To learn humility, because when you are in the gift of learning, You are learning humility. And humility is a place of love. Humility is a state in the recognition that there is nothing to battle with, that there is no problem going on, that you're just accepting, you're just learning, and you're following. The arrogance of the ego says, no, I'm the one who knows. I'm the one who has to make the decisions for this day because I always have. Because that's the familiar. And that choice of letting God have this day and learning from this day is a leap of faith. Because the ego would really want to convince you that the fear of not being in charge is right there with the belief of crucifixion. Right there with the belief that crucifixion is real. Right there in the belief that you are a victim. And because it's legitimate and you are right, you must defend and know and protect and control. But again, there's no learning in control. There's no learning in the tightness of fear that says, I don't want to let go. But the calling of strength, oh my Father, give me strength. Give me courage on this road. This is exactly what that calling is about. Give me courage on this road to be a child of yours on earth and walk the path that the Masters showed. And this is the path that the Masters showed, the path of surrendering, the path of surrendering the day into the hands of God and accepting God's will for me this day is a day of peace. This is the day I can have if I choose to follow, if I choose to learn today, if I choose to recognize this is my true purpose. My function is God's function. I have no other function. There is no other function to have except a made-up story of what you think you know. And the insanity that we carry in those beliefs is the insanity of not being aware that when we choose what we think we know, we are saying, I choose to relive the past again and again and again and again. Because every single element of knowing comes from the past. And in that, it's even the distorted wish that you want the future to be like the past. That you want the future, you want to feel exactly the same as you do now. That's the choice. I want to feel everything I felt in the past. I want to feel the fear of the belief that I am without. I want to feel the fear again that I am in danger. I want to feel the fear of the belief of the self-hatred within. Of course, when you look at it like that, it's insane. And it is insane. Because sanity says, no, I want the future to be unlike the past. I want the future to be in the hands of God. I want the future to be filled with the light and the love and the harmony and the peace that is the truth of God. That's what I want. And that's what I devote each day to. I devote each day to be unlike the past. And as I devote each day to be unlike the past, I am surrendering the day. Because I can't make this day different than the past without surrendering it into the hands of God. I can't know anything about this day and plan and count on what I think I know and have it different from the past. It's not possible. Now the ego is tricky enough to just make everything just so slightly different that you think it's something different. That you think it's something, oh, I've discovered something new. A new way, a new idea, a new concept of what I think I know. No, nothing's new. It's just wrapped up in different packages. It's like a new lover. A new lover that all of a sudden you realize, gosh, why is this so familiar? Why have I walked this before and so many times? I'm even saying the same things. How is that possible? He looks really different. I even had a checklist of what I liked, what I expected, what I wanted, personally, to be different from the past. I was making the past different from the future by myself. And lo and behold, it's exactly the same. Different costume, different name, different voice, different hair color, different location, different height, different color of eyes. Must be different. Why is it so familiar? Because you cannot heal the past with your knowing. You cannot. It will always be exactly the same as the past, just in a different costume. And you will be the same as in the past in your beliefs of who you think you are, because nothing's been surrendered. Again, and you hear me say this all the time, it's not a condemnation, it's just what it is, because it's a game that the ego plays. I'm going to stir it up and change things around and move to another city or get another job or get new friends or change partners or whatever. Doesn't matter. Change my hair. Go from gray to red. Nobody will see it the same. I'll wear different clothes. Change my jewelry. Why does it feel exactly the same? No matter what. Because wherever you go, there you think you are. Wherever you go, there goes your past. Because you keep living the past. In the surrender to God, in the surrender of the day, love can heal. Love can heal. It won't heal the form. It isn't all of a sudden that love transports you to a new location, like a witness protection program. The outside doesn't change. Chop wood, carry water, it always looks the same. It doesn't matter. It has no value. The outside has no value. It's within that everything becomes transformed. It is the mind given to God that transforms. It is the heart surrendered to love that opens and blooms with all that love. But you don't see the form the same anymore because you are beginning to have inner vision, because you are beginning to see with love through your heart. And you are beginning to see the light that is the truth of everything. And you go past all the forms that you thought you knew so well, that you counted on so deeply in the past. And you're no longer mesmerized by the outside. You're no longer seduced by the things you like or don't like, or approve of or disapprove of. It's letting all of that go and opening to the light of love, the beauty of love that is every moment, that is every single second, the opportunity to see the truth of love in its total equality. This the mind cannot conceptualize. How can everything be of total equality when one thing looks like an ant and the other looks like a giraffe? I can see that these are different. Yeah, you think you know. You think you know? This is all the love of God. This is the light of God, held within a made-up body identity. This one, the light of God, held in the mistaken identity of separation through your eyes, through your decision to say, I know that these are different. Surrender them all. And ask the divine, yes, I'm willing, show me. Help me to see the truth of love. But in that, it's the surrender of every day. Surrender of the outcome of the day, or what you think is outcome, because there is no outcome that you can make up that has any validity. Whether it's, I had a horrible day, filled with disappointment, filled with roadblocks, filled with disturbances, or I made it a perfect day. I liked it all. I had ice cream. I took the day off. I pretended I was free. I ran the day. Did what I wanted. It's all a ruse. Because nothing is learned there. Because nothing has been surrendered. It's been kept in the cage of separation. And it becomes just like the past. Except for that little bitty inkling that says, no, I made it a much better day than I have before. I'm winning. I'm gaining ground on this battle against the world. And yet the next day is just like the day before. No differences, just good, bad, right, wrong, all built in the beliefs that you have of differences. But with the surrender of the day to be used for love's healing, to be used for remembering, it becomes the divine schoolroom. The true purpose of the day, of time, to be surrendered into the hands of the Holy Spirit and emptied into the hands of the Holy Spirit. Take this day. Use it for love, to show me the way. Use it as a place of teaching. I'm willing to learn. And I'm willing to deepen my awareness in every moment of the truth. Show me. Show me. In the movie A Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge, the spirit wakes him up and says, let's go look at your life. And the spirit takes him and shows him the past and shows him the future that will come from that past that he made. And that future is just like the past, filled with fear, filled with vengeance, filled with confusion, filled with the belief of scarcity. That's why his name is Scrooge, because of the belief of scarcity. And then he goes to his gravestone and says, this is the end of the road in this lifetime. What have you learned? I learned I don't want this anymore. I learned through seeing this that I want a different life, that I want a life of love. Take my life, take my day, take every perception that I have of what I thought I knew, to make it unlike the past, to let it become a life of divine purpose, a life of love, a life of offering love, and a life of forgiveness until there is nothing left to forgive. To forgive every mistaken identity of everything that I have made. To forgive myself. Forgiving all these beloveds as a small man, for putting all of these beloveds in cages of my choosing because I thought I knew. This is the gift of that teaching. To want to have the future different than the past. When you surrender the future into the hands of God and you truly, the future is 10 minutes from now, 1 minute from now. The future is definitely tomorrow. The future is the day that you surrender when you wake up in the morning. I give this day into the hands of my divine God. I give this day to the Holy Spirit. Lead this day. Show me the way in this day. Teach me in this day. Let me learn from this day the truth of love, the truth of forgiveness, the truth of harmony and peace, and the truth that I can let go of this day and give up the concept and the erroneous belief that I'm in charge. I'm never in charge, no matter what. There is no I that's in charge. It's either the ego that's in charge or it's God. It's never a free day. It's only a free day in the hands of God, in the hands of learning, in the hands of grace, in the hands of harmony. Take this day. Take this day, dear Lord, and in the name of God, I surrender it into the purpose of remembering. Help me see more clearly the truth today. And let me question every thought of whether this is to serve love or to serve getting, to serve protection, to serve defense, to serve the defense that isn't just about defending the physical body. It's about defending an identity, to defend the idea of who you think you are, to protect it, is a game of silliness, because the identity means nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you can't have an identity that means something and eventually accept that it means nothing. It means nothing. You've given it all the meaning that it has, and then want it reflected from everything outside. I want the world to show me respect. What is that? What is respect? I respect you for what you've made, what you think you are, what you think you've accomplished. Or the real respect of love. I am one with God, the light of the world. I am willing to live as the instrument of love. I'm willing to open the heart and become undefended, not protecting an image, a self-image, or an identity in any way, on either side of the coin. Whether you think you have a hot-to-trot identity that is really important, or you think that you're worthless, it's all the same. Neither one means a thing. Neither one is true. The light of God, the beauty of God, the perfection of God, the innocence of God, purity of God, is everything. And it's what you truly are. Everything. And you've traded this little tiny morsel of self-made stuff for the entire universe of love. It isn't arrogance that says, I am the light of God. It is humility. It's humility that accepts I am the innocence of God. The arrogance says, I'm self-made. I've accomplished things. Who is this I that thinks it's accomplished something? A made-up self. A made-up defense system of accomplishment. Every single beloved master who wakes up has the same exact recognition. Oh, there was nothing to do to become. There was nothing to prove. There was nothing to ever do. What is already all that there is does not need doing. Just the relinquishment of what's been made up that stands in the way of that awareness. And that is the beginning of surrendering the day. You don't want to wake up 10 years from now and go, oh yeah, I forgot to surrender those days. I thought I'd just do it when I retired. I don't want to surrender them now. I have things to do. I have accomplishments that I have to stay in control of. So I'll do that later. Instead of, no, I give you this day. I give you this day for learning. I give you this day for the grace of love. I give you this day because I can do nothing that has any meaning, that has any truth on my own. Nothing comes of anything that is held separately. It's just a spin in the same direction as the past, revisiting constantly. As we affirm and accept the name of God. We accept our true name is one in God's name. In this truth, we are united with all life, one within Creator and creation. What we made and call by different and many names is but a shadow that we tried to cast across the reality of oneness. We are grateful that we were mistaken, grateful to begin again, and gladly surrender our mistaken differences to be dissolved into the truth of oneness. One heart, one life, one love, one source. And as you use all the little names and symbols which delineate the delusional world, do not accept them as your reality. Accept only the name of God. Accept only the one truth, one name for all life, love. And in that, healing is accepted, received, and transformation opens the door to awareness, and the heart is healed. The choice of love, the choice of the power of God, invited, accepted, and lived.